Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Teresa. This is the presentation for entrepreneurship, leadership and innovation. My name is Teresa, as I've just said. This is...
My name is Michael.
Catherine.
Stefano. And I'm Eras.
And the person we've chosen today to do our presentation on is Oscar Pistorius. Oscar Pistorius was born with fibular hemorrhagia, which caused amputation in both of his legs at 11 months. So he was given a pair of prosthetic legs to walk, run, and do everything with, basically. His parents got divorced at the age of 6, and so because of that, he didn't have a very close relationship with his father. And despite that, he was still able to go on through life and to achieve quite a few things. He discovered track in January 2004. That was when he got into rugby injury.
I'm going to talk about Oscar Pistorius as a leader because we've heard a lot about him because of the Olympics and the games. Firstly, so as Teresa said, he has not had like the most easy way to the point he is today. He has been called many names. He's been called simply Oz, he's been called Blade Runner, and he also has the nickname the fastest runner on no legs, however bad the irony is. Traits and characteristics of this, there are 3 words that are good to describe this person. It's determination, it's willpower, and it's persistence. These are both traits and characteristics of a strong person as well as an athlete, which is also why we wanted to use him. His achievements, he's achieved quite a lot, even though he has a disability. He has the Paralympic gold medalist. He has the 4 times world record in Paralympic sports, 100 meter, 200 meter, 400 meter, and 4 times 100. The notable thing about Pistorius is that not only is he a record holder for Paralympic games, he moved over to be the first able-bodied runner in an able-bodied competition. And that's sort of the whole barrier he broke in. He moved over from not only breaking records, he broke barriers. In 2008, he had a big dispute with the International Association of Athletes Federation because they introduced a ban on technical aids, which prevented him from even entering the game, which is why this was such a big case in all. Even though they claimed it was not aimed at him, it was still a weird time to introduce such a ban when he first wanted to compete. He displays leadership in his sport and country in different ways. Firstly, he was chosen to be the flag bearer for the South African team in the closing ceremony, where he was watched by, I think it was 80,000 spectators and 300 million viewers. So that's a big score, even just to bear the flag. All in all, just to be part of it. He is also an ambassador for the International Inspiration Foundation, which is an Olympic legacy to inspire young people or the youth to be in sports. So he has achieved quite a bit.
Hi guys, I'm Catherine, and I'll just move over here. So we chose to focus on the trait theory in relation to Oscar Pistorius. So we chose this because we just saw the similarities in his character, in the way he's sort of come up in the world in relation to Kirkpatrick and Locke's 1991 trait theory. So over his lifetime, Pistorius has displayed a lot of similar traits to the theory model. To go further into the theory model focuses on the assumption that leaders are born and not just made. It also focuses that the skills that are in these leaders have to be applied as well. So even if you're born with these skills, the trait model mainly applies if you actually apply these skills in day-to-day life. Some of these traits do include intelligence. They also include the drive, motivation. So leader motivation is basically the intense desire to lead others and reach goals, as well as self-confidence, which is also the belief in oneself and the ability in their skills, as well as honesty, integrity. Integrity is also being trustworthy, reliable, and open. and also being sociable, because obviously you have to be able to motivate people, be able to be on the same level as people in order to be able to be a leader. Just name a few. Pistorius does have, as I've said before, a lot of similarities to this trait. So just like a brief background as well. So despite shattering his knee, he was ready. He was fully rehabilitated in just 6 months. This shows obviously the integrity, his dedication to his sport, and he believed in himself as well. And he was back for his first race in January 2004, which was with Lau and on New Year's Day. Over the years, between 2004 and 2007, he did proceed to take part in various track meets, both personal and broke both personal and world records. And then over the years, he's motivated the public through different achievements. He won Sports Personality of the Year in 2007, and he's also done a lot of charity work, which the most popular one is Souls of Africa. And then despite not being allowed as well to take part in able-bodied races, he did have a vision one day. And this also does relate back to the breaking of barriers and being determined and knowing that he was born with the skill and he had to just go ahead and do it, which brings back the trait theory model into this. So yeah, determination and self-confidence led him to this, and despite various drawbacks with this case, he did win this case in 2008 and was able to compete in the able-bodied Olympics in 2012, and yeah, he successfully competed in the Olympics in 2012. Thank you guys.
Okay. Another models that we look on is the leadership theory. Basically, transformational leadership is a theory that involves charisma and a strong leader with a vision, a proper vision, and it's a model that changes and transforms people. Basically, it involves a high motivation skill, a high influence from the leader in order to make the members of the organization to get higher results. It occurs when one people engage with others, and this relationship may improve both the morale and the motivation of both leaders and members of an organization. That's a definition by Burns. As we can see from the slide, transformational leadership theory is based on 4 points. And first of all, there is idealize and influence. Basically, the leaders of the organization set up his own goals, and by his charisma, it engages the press and media to look upon his results. And this interest of the media makes other people follow his goal. And in the second point, the inspirational motivation, the leader set up the goals for the organization, and his goal for the organization to the members of the followers, and through symbols and his charisma, he wants other people of the organization to get higher goal than the self-interest, but something for the whole community. Intellectual stimulation is another basic point of the transformational leadership, and is where the leader says to his followers that they have to try a new way of persuading their goals in order to get the best result possible. And individualized consideration is where the leader focuses on each member of the group in order to improve their motivation, their skill, and to support them through all the process of the organization. And as you can see, this model fits completely with Oscar Pistorius, because first of all, he wants to break all the barriers between able-bodied and disabled-bodied people, and that's his main goal. Its basic goal is to get knowledge, to inspire people, to find a new behavior of people in front of disabled bodies, disabled persons. And by doing that, he set up his little goals that are competing with disabled bodies in the Olympics, and to make possible even the impossible. Guys that was aloft by a chair without legs after start running with Bolt, using Bolt, that is the fastest man ever. And intellectual stimulation through organization and ambassador, he set up the goals to young person with disabilities to follow him and do as he does. And charisma is most important, as he is going to explain now.
Yeah, now we have two models relating to the sport in particular. The first model we have is put by Jim Cruz and Barry Posner in 1982. It's the Cruz and Posner leadership model. This is a 5-step process. The first step is model the way, and then inspire a shared vision, challenge the process, enable others to act, and encourage the heart. Yep, now we're just going into each point in a bit more detail. So the first part is model the way, where you clarify your personal values and you set the examples by aligning people together. Oscar Pistorius has proved this on many occasions, but he clarified his personal values that one day he wants disabled athletes to run in the able-bodied Olympics. Then you inspire a shared vision, which you imagine possibilities, and you enlist others. Oscar Pistorius has done that from a young age. He's imagined that he's going to one day run in the able-bodied Olympics. Then you challenge the process. You search for opportunities, you experiment, and you take risks. He's challenged the process because, I mean, in ancient Greece, the Olympics were based on the perfect male or female competing, and Oscar Pistorius had both of his legs amputated when he was 11 months, so he challenged the process. He wanted to compete in the able-bodied Olympics. So he experimented, he took risks, he searched for that opportunity. The next step is you enable others to act, so you collaborate and unite, and you strengthen others by sharing power. Then step number 5 is you encourage the heart by recognizing contribution, and you celebrate with your community. Yeah. The next model we have is the charismatic leadership theory. This was first put forward by Max Weber in the late 1920s. Robert House in 1977 defined charismatic leadership with 4 points. He said they are dominant, they have a strong desire to influence others, they are self-confident, and they have a strong sense of moral values. J. Conga and Kanango, they developed this theory in 1998 and said they have certain behavioral attributes. They have a vision, they have a sensitivity to the environment, sensitive to the members' needs, personal risk-taking, and they perform unconventional behavior. J. Conga, he described 4 steps as an approach to charismatic leadership theory. He said there's continual assessment, which you formulate a vision. Pistorius' vision was that one day he would compete in the able-bodied Olympics. You communicate the vision through motivation. You build trust in your vision because your subordinates must desire that too, and you achieve the vision by not only empowering yourself but empowering others, because a true leader's goal should be to not only empower, it should be a true leader empowers their people, not just themselves. Yeah. We have an interview which we probably won't have time to show, but these are quotes from the interview, and Oscar Pistorius admitted himself that there is still a long way to go in terms of transforming attitudes towards disability around the world. He wants that goal, he's not going to give up, he's still being very humble about it. And the next slide we have is his Twitter feed, in which we have a photographer called Mark Connick who's had a photo shoot with him, and then he labelled Oscar Pistorius as a gentleman and an inspiration to young and old alike, which proves what an inspirational leader he truly is. Yep. And then Teresa, she will round up our slide.
As we've seen today, Oscar Pistorius has a lot of characteristics that are aligned with the trait theory, the transformational theory, charismatic leadership, and the Kuzma and Posner model. This is we love this quote, so we included it, which says, "You're not disabled by the disabilities you have, you are able by the abilities you have." So literally, he was just trying to fight for able-bodied and disabled to have the same opportunities and not to be labelled in a category as disabled, because you're not actually labelled by your disabilities, you're labelled by your abilities. So this is our presentation. Thank you for watching.
And these are our references.